All right, we are live. I'm going to give people just 1 second.
I'm going to take a quick photo, okay?
Okay, yeah, take a photo.
There we go. Ta-da! I'm going to post it later.
Okay.
Hello, is anybody there?
I usually give people just a couple seconds before I get started because I know I'm never right on time to anything online. As we're all adjusting to the online events and meetings. So, and I'm going to start off with a quick introduction, so I can go ahead and do that. And then by the time I'm done, hopefully folks have joined us. So I just want to start by welcoming everybody who's tuning in this Saturday afternoon, and then those who are joining later by watching the recording. It'll stay here on Facebook and on YouTube. It'll also be on our website this week as well. In our normal days, we would have had both of today's authors here at One More Page Books in Arlington, but we are still closed to foot traffic in the store, so we're happy that we can welcome both of them to our Facebook and YouTube channels. Virtual events are definitely a different animal for all of us, but I have to think, especially for cookbooks, we're all going to definitely miss the wonderful aromas and definitely some taste testing today that I think we would have done in a normal time. But I'm sure that we're all going to get some great tips and have a wonderful conversation. And then the rest of us will have to do the cooking in our own houses this time around. I'm going to turn things over to our authors in just a minute, but I want to do just a quick housekeeping to let everybody know that if you are tuning in live, you are welcome to ask questions by submitting them in the comments on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, in the live chat is how we will see your questions. If you're tuning in on Eventbrite, and you want to ask a question, I suggest you tune over to either YouTube or Facebook because we can't get live comments from Eventbrite. The authors will turn to questions as soon as they're ready, but you feel free to drop in any questions in the comments and in the chat at any time. So now that I welcome the online audience, I want to welcome our special guest today, Pat. Oh, I knew it. Tanumihardja.
Perfect.
Oh, good. And Monica Bhide. Pat has released 2 cookbooks this summer, which is definitely a challenging time for all our authors. But she's going to be talking about her Instant Pot book today, here. And you can pick that up from our website. But I also wanted to mention that if pickling is your thing, she also has her new book, Asian Pickles at Home, is also available on our website. So I'm going to do a quick introduction and then I'll turn things over to you guys. Pat and Monica are both local here in the DC area. Pat is an experienced food writer, born in Indonesia and brought up in Singapore before moving to the US. Growing up in different food cultures, she learned to appreciate a variety of dishes and flavors from a young age and learned to cook as soon as she could tell the difference between garlic and ginger. Important distinction. As a writer, she sees the world through a multicultural lens and enjoys covering topics related to travel and food culture. She also writes the Pickles and Tea food blog in collaboration with the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center. And joining us also is Monica. As I mentioned, she's an engineer in the day and a writer in the evening. Her recipes are fun, accessible, and tasty, and her titles include Karma and the Art of Butter Chicken and A Life of Spice. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to you two. Everybody enjoy.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you so much.
Hey, and welcome, everyone. So, before we start, I would like to say I am so thankful for Monica for being here with me today and for you for joining us in this conversation. So I'd like it to be, really free and easy. It's going to be a conversation between me and Monica, but for the most part, we'd love to have your questions. So please do type them in the comments box and we will get to them as soon as possible. Oh, Amber didn't show the photo.
Oh, Amber didn't show the photo. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. So we thought it would be fun to start off with this photo of a pressure cooker disaster. A friend of mine posted it on Facebook. I don't think it happened to her, but this is the reason. This is like the story of my nightmares. And when I was a kid growing up, my mom had a stovetop pressure cooker and she made some amazing things in there, but I was so scared of it as a kid. And every time she would turn it on and it would start hissing and spurting water, I would run away and just go hide until it was done. And even though she gifted me a stove pressure cooker after I got married, I never used it. And so I've been married like 18 years now, and I did not touch that pressure cooker, and finally gave it away like 2 years ago. So all that Asian guilt was built up in me, and I could never give it away until I realized I did not have any more room in my kitchen. So but anyway, I'm sure everybody has a crazy pressure cooker story to tell. So I know Monica does, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. So I had this experience. I actually used the pressure cooker. As scared as I was, I decided, I had to try it and use it. So there was one time where I made this entire meal and everything was on the counter and ready to go. And the last thing was in the pressure cooker getting done. And I forgot to put the whistle on top of the cooker. So when it was done, everything blew through the whistle onto the ceiling.
Oh, no.
Everything outside. And there were other things cooking, including a deep fryer. And
oh, no.
The cooker went into the deep fryer and the entire stovetop caught fire. And so that doesn't happen with this. The Instant Pot.
I know. I love my Instant Pot. It's like right here. Wait, where is it? Where's my Instant Pot? Here's my Instant Pot. I had to put it on show for everybody. So this is the only way I would use a pressure cooker. So and yeah. So
no,
there it is.
We were talking about this before this formal conversation started, that, I, as a parent, would not give my children the pressure cooker right now and like, go try yourself and go try this for yourself. But I would give them the Instant Pot because it's so easy to use. And, your recipes here are just fabulous and fantastic. I think they would really be able to make progress on their own, unsupervised, without the kitchen, which is, hey, that works in my book.
Yeah. And I've heard friends who, where they just could not cook to save their lives. They just did not like to cook at all, because they felt like they didn't have the skills or the techniques. But they've totally embraced the Instant Pot because it's actually so simple to make a meal out of the Instant Pot. And I know people who actually have 2 or 3 Instant Pots so that they can have several different meals going at once. And if they're too lazy to clean one pot, they can just start off with their next one. So
and I have to tell you, I buy, as a cookbook author, I used to buy so many different types of like utensils or, gadgets and everything. Most of them would come in the box. Oh, shiny, look at them. And then, went into the drawer, never saw them again. But my Instant Pot, I love it. I use it almost every single day. It's been such a blessing. And so, so tell me a little bit about how you decided to write this book about the Asian Instant Pot, which, by the way, I'm going to hold up again so people can see it. Well, it's beautiful. And here, let's open up some pages so they can see too. It's full color, beautiful, beautiful recipes. So tell us about how you got started with the cookbook.
Sure. So the publisher actually approached me to write an Asian Instant Pot cookbook. So they also published my previous cookbook, Farm to Table Asian Secrets. And I enjoy doing Pan-Asian cookbooks because that's exactly how I eat. And I have to be honest, before the publisher approached me to write this cookbook, I did not own an Instant Pot. And I was intrigued, but I was just being defiant, and I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon. But when the publisher approached me, I was like, oh, okay, now is as good a time as any to buy myself an Instant Pot. Little did I know that using the Instant Pot actually has quite a steep learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, it's really simple, but you do have to get used to all the different terms. You have to make sure your lid is sealed. You have to know the difference between a quick release, so all those things I had to learn just like everybody else. But once I got the hang of it, it made developing recipes actually quite a lot easier. So yeah, that's actually how it came about. And at the time, I think there was only maybe one Asian Instant Pot cookbook out there, and I was really surprised because Asian food is actually ideal for cooking in the Instant Pot. So, but I think ever since my book has come out, I've realized that there's several others there out there on the market.
Yeah, this works.
Yeah.
Out there. So which was like when you started developing recipes and things like that, what was it about the Instant Pot that appealed most to you? And like, sometimes you have an aha moment with a gadget. You're like, I'm trying this and this, but oh my God, all of this really works well. And the flavors sort of stay sealed inside and get. So what was that moment for you? Which, like, was it a recipe or was it just different?
I think the moment when I realized that a lot of the recipes that I grew up eating that my mom cooked for me when I was a kid could be easily done in the Instant Pot, I was like, aha, this Instant Pot is going to be really useful for me, and I can like reclaim all these childhood recipes that I love. Like, so, my mom's beef rendang recipe, it's like an Indonesian beef curried stew, I guess. Yeah. So the funny thing is I don't eat very much red meat anymore. So I actually converted it into a chicken rendang recipe that's in the cookbook. But yeah, and it cut down so much time on the cooking process because my mom would like stand in front of the stove for like hours on end, waiting for it to like braise into like a really thick curry. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of us feel the same way. Like we don't have the time or the energy to put into such a dish, no matter how delicious it is. It's just so hard. And other dishes that I have grown to love over the years, like pho. Pho is an excellent dish to make in the Instant Pot because it just concentrates all the different flavors. Another dish that I grew up eating in Singapore is Hainanese chicken rice, and it's actually a poached recipe, and it's so easy to do in the Instant Pot, So you just dump the whole chicken in there, you turn on the cooker, and once it comes up to pressure, you just turn it off, and you cook it for 0 minutes. So
absolutely. And one thing that I found in my using the Instant Pot, and keep me honest here, like when I use the pressure cooker and make the same dish, it cooks fast, but somehow that concentration of flavors is not there. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. We've been using it for I don't know how long. But with the Instant Pot, I think maybe it's because of the seal that's so airtight.
And the pressure,
And the pressure, it manages to get the flavor. Even simple things like rice. You made white rice in just a regular pot, tried it in the pressure cooker. In the Instant Pot, you can tell like this, which one is in the Instant Pot because it's so good.
So that's an interesting, I need to find out how you do it in the Instant Pot because I actually have found that I prefer my rice in my rice cooker.
Oh, you're right. There's a fine line between rice cooker people and Instant Pot.
Yeah. So, but I know some people who swear by their Instant Pot. They've just, gotten rid of the rice cooker because they love rice in the Instant Pot. So I like doing rice in the Instant Pot when I do pot and pot cooking. So where, I make the entree in the pot itself, and then I put a dish rack on top, and then I cook the rice on top of that. So, and that's definitely 2-in-1, which is great. It saves you time, it saves you cleanup. So,
and I was looking through your book too. You have the section where it talks about the different types of rice and how to cook it. I think this is very useful. I mean, buy the book just for this alone. It's like a useful guide to making rice. It'll make you.
Who would have thought that so many different rices would be have so many different ways of cooking, but definitely. So
what is something that once you created your different recipes and you use the Instant Pot, what is like become your go-to recipe for the Instant Pot from your book?
Quite a few dishes. Let's see. So pad thai, I make pad thai in the Instant Pot, and I've tried it on the stovetop, and I always get mixed results. Like my noodles either come out too soggy or too hard, but in the Instant Pot they actually come out like the same way every single time. That's another great thing about the Instant Pot. If you follow the recipe every single time, you get the same results. So so my pad thai in the Instant Pot is perfect. So
I want you to actually talk a little bit about this recipe because not only is it beautiful, it works. I actually have made pad thai without the Instant Pot, and
Mhm.
sorry, but it's always a disaster. My pad thai is something you want to stay away from. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about that recipe specifically. Like, tell us a little bit about how you make it and what you do, because people don't normally associate Instant Pot with making like noodle-based dishes, right? Because they'll associate it with braises and
Mhm.
stews and things like that. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, because most of the time, when you make a fried noodle dish, which is basic, a lot of times, with Asian cooking, you either have a soup noodle dish or a fried noodle dish, right? And the Instant Pot, I don't know, the saute function for me on the Instant Pot is not my favorite thing to use unless I want to like brown some meats a little bit. But so what I do is I soak the noodles for maybe about 5 minutes, not too long, so that it just gets a little bit pliable, so I can actually like put it inside the pot so it doesn't like break apart or stick out. And then I will just like stir fry the ingredients like the garlic, the pickled radish, and the tofu and shrimp or whatever ingredients you want to go in there. And then I will actually take that out first and then put the noodles in with the sauce, which you make ahead of time. Yeah, you don't want to overcook your shrimp or your tofu or your chicken. So I always take that out.
2 seconds, right?
Yeah, I know seafood cooks really quick in the Instant Pot, so it's a little bit tricky with seafood. And so the great thing about pad thai and the Instant Pot is the sauce base is made with tamarind, brown sugar, fish sauce, and it just infuses all that flavor into the noodles when you cook it in the Instant Pot. When you stir fry it on the stove top, it gets into the noodles a little bit, but not as much. And with home stoves, because you don't have that high heat, it's hard to recreate that smoky flavor or that burnt taste that you get at the restaurant or street stall. So yeah, and because I've already portioned out the amount of liquid as it should be, it turns out every time the way I like it.
See, I'm going to try this. I've tried some of the other recipes in your book, but I've not tried the pad thai recipe.
Oh, please do. That's like one of my favorites.
Well, when I did it for the first time without your book and without the Instant Pot, I posted it and I was like, this is the worst thing I have ever cooked. And I tried it multiple times. I tried it. It was such a disaster. So I cannot wait. Now, the other thing that really interested me in your book is that, again, it's something that I don't normally associate with the Instant Pot, right? Like I associate Instant Pot with, braising and stewing and maybe even poaching, but not so much steaming. And you talked about steamed fish, which is really intriguing.
So steaming is actually a huge component of Asian cooking. And so one of my favorite things to steam in the Instant Pot is fish. So Cantonese steamed fish is one of my favorite recipes. When I go to the restaurant, I will always order that. And of course, you have to serve the whole fish. So, but for my recipe, I use the fillet because even my husband, he gets scared when he sees eyes staring back at him in the dish. So you steam the fish in the Instant Pot, and then you create the sauce that is a mix of like soy sauce and sesame oil and some vegetable oil with some scallions and some ginger on the outside on the stovetop. So once the fish is finished steaming in the Instant Pot, you take it out and then you will drizzle the soy sauce mixture over it. But what I found is that in the Instant Pot, the fish just turns out so soft and silky. It's a texture I have not had, cooking it on the stovetop or in the microwave. I used to make it in the microwave because it was just so much easier than setting up my steamer on the stovetop. And I have burnt holes through my steamer pots before because I wasn't paying attention. With steaming on the stovetop, you really have to pay attention to the water level. And because it's steaming and then all this water is evaporating, so you have to check it at least halfway to make sure that it hasn't evaporated all the way down to the bottom of the pot. So that was one of my very first times I tried steaming. I totally ruined my mom's multi-tiered steamer. I was so upset.
This is such a learning for me. I remember once I was talking to a French chef and he said, when you cook fish and the heat should just kiss the fish. If it does
Oh,
anything else, it will become rubbery. And mine is
yeah.
always anything
Mhm.
else because it becomes rubbery. So when I read this, that perfect steaming in the Instant Pot, that's amazing. To get that moist texture,
Mhm.
cut it, and it's still soft. I
Yeah.
think it's just absolutely terrific.
I
Now, talk to me a little bit about, the things that I do know about the Instant Pot, which is, with fall coming up, all these recipes that you can braise and steam braise and stew. What are some
Mhm.
of those recipes in your book?
So one of my favorite things to braise is actually pork. So I have so the Chinese call it red cooked pork, so hong shao rou. So it's basically just soy sauce with a whole bunch of different spices that you stew. And on the stove top, I would stew it for a couple of hours. You can either use excuse me, you can either use pork belly or pork shoulder. I usually use pork shoulder because pork belly. I mean, I love pork belly, but there's just so much fat in it. I know we're
But
all
it's
like,
so good.
huh?
So good.
It's so good, but at my age, it's not so good. But yeah, so the different Asian cultures have variations on this red cooked pork. So the Vietnamese have thich co. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but it's braised with coconut water. And then the Japanese have kakuni. And then my mom makes an Indonesian version, which is called babi kecap. Babi is pork and kecap is like a sweet soy sauce. So you can make any of these variations in the Instant Pot, and it's just so easy. You just brown the meat a little bit, and then you add soy sauce, some sugar. With the Vietnamese version, you would caramelize some sugar first before you add the pork, so that it coats it, and it gives it that nice, a sweet flavor and a little bit smoky as well. And just put whatever spices you like in there. You can put star anise. I like to put galangal in there sometimes.
Nice.
Lemongrass, kaffir lime leaves, whatever you want, whatever you have on hand, you just stick in there for different flavors. 5 spice, and
And the star anise, I bet, makes it smell amazing. One
yeah.
spice can go such a long way. And
Mhm.
I see we have Betty Ann Curino with us. Hello, Betty.
Oh, Betty!
Betty's also a wonderful, amazing cookbook author and has an Instant Pot book about Filipino
She
cooking.
does, yes.
Betty, tell us about your lovely recipes in your book with the Instant Pot. We would love to hear, particularly if you have my favorite pork recipes. We'd love to hear that. So let's talk a little bit about like some of your best tips, Pat, for using the Instant Pot. Like if you had to say, let's say someone's getting an Instant Pot and you had to say, okay, when you start using your Instant Pot, here are 3 things that I would have you do to get the best use out of your Instant Pot for what you're doing.
So manage your expectations. I've talked to a lot of people who don't own an Instant Pot, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I hear that you can make instant recipes in your Instant Pot," and I have to like bring them down to earth and like, "Oh no, it's not really instant. I mean, it still takes time for your Instant Pot to pressurize and then to cook and then to pressurize down." But one thing I can say about the Instant Pot that's absolutely fabulous. It's like, you just dump and cook. So you can just walk away, in the full knowledge that your kitchen is safe. It's not going to explode. And, you can spend time with your family. You can go do a quick yoga session or what have you, I wouldn't go out for a run. I would stay in the house. But yeah, it's really hands-off, which is really nice.
And it's fussless, right? Don't you
again?
think it's fussless? I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's fussless. Like
Yeah.
there's no fussing with it.
Yeah.
You put in there, you get it done, then you're good. There's not a lot of fussing. You have to pay attention, but it's not.
Yeah. And I would follow the recipe to the T. Find, a cookbook or a blog post that you trust and follow the recipe, because I mean a lot of things can go wrong with cooking in the Instant Pot. Like you could get a burn notice because you don't have enough liquid in there. But I think if you follow a trusted recipe, your dish will turn out perfect every time.
Yeah, I think actually that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
With gadget cooking, I'm always saying that as well. Like, when you're doing something on the stovetop, you have more control over it. So you need something out and add something and it's okay. But with gadget cooking, particularly with the liquids,
Mm-hmm.
Be careful and follow the directions so you don't end up like me with burn notices every 5 minutes.
Well, but with the burn notice though, it doesn't mean your dish is not salvageable.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll catch it like really quick. If you catch it within 5 minutes or so, you can still salvage your dish. You just add more liquid to it. So okay, I have to tell you. So somebody tried one recipe in my cookbook, and it was definitely a mistake. But I had forgotten to put water in the recipe. And I mean, it could have been edited out during the editing process, what have you. But it's happened before, and it happened again. And he got so upset. He gave me a 1-star review.
Oh.
But anyway, so my point is, if you do get a burn notice, you can just add more liquid to your recipe, and pay attention to recipes, because mistakes like that can happen. It's like a typo. Just I recommend at least a quarter to half a cup of liquids with ingredients that are liquid producing, like vegetables will definitely produce liquid in your Instant Pot, and even meats will produce meat juices. So yeah. And okay, so one tip I always like to share is use cornstarch judiciously. I have seen a lot of cornstarch, a lot of recipes out there which use so much cornstarch. I know a lot of times you have excess liquids at the end of Instant Pot cooking, and you don't want a runny sauce most of the time,
Right.
and that's why you add the cornstarch. But I don't know, it like 2 tablespoons of cornstarch in like half or even 1 cup of liquid just seems way too much to
That's
me.
like a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So what I've tried to do is to only use the optimum amount of liquid in my dishes, so that at the end you only need a little bit of cornstarch, or if any at all. So and so my recommendation would be to add the cornstarch little by little and just keep stirring.
Till it gets
Yeah, until it becomes a consistency that you like. So you don't have to follow the recipe accordingly. So for that part, you don't have to follow the recipe accordingly.
So I have one personal question for you. This is something that I mess up on, so you can guide me on how to do this. So obviously, I make a lot of Indian curries and spice-based sauces in my Instant Pot, and love them. They always turn out really well. But what happens is that the ring of the Instant Pot get the smell of the spices, and I don't know how to fix that. So I think you do.
You have to buy multiple sealing rings.
Just replace, I guess. After
I definitely recommend buying multiple sealing rings, at least 2. One for your sweet dishes and one for your savory dishes. And if you do like to cook with spices like I do, I would reserve 1 ring for like savory spiced cooking, like for curries and things like that, and another one for like spaghettis and pastas. So
I think that's a really great, because I use it and then I'm wondering, why does the chicken smell like the pork smells?
Yeah.
Like the smells like the rice?
Or you can soak it in a big pot of water with baking soda. So baking soda is really good at removing odors. I've read that. I haven't actually done it, but I've read that it is a technique for doing that. So, and if you can find different colors as well, I think that helps with the distinguishing of which ring is for what. So
I think that would be very useful for me. And One More Page Books was nice enough to put up Betty Ann's book in the comments. You can go and look. It's her Instant Filipino Recipes, which is again absolutely fabulous books. Or another Asian Instant Pot book, which is really good.
Oh, and Betty Ann also offered a really great suggestion. So she says that when you have excess sauce in the Instant Pot, she'll reuse it for a different dish. Oh, and yeah, oh my gosh, eggs, adobo eggs. That would be amazing. So with chicken adobo is like the most common dish that people know here in the US, but you can make just about anything into an adobo. I have actually made an eggplant adobo. Yeah, that is really delicious. Like, red peppers are amazing. Any type of greens. I would just like put them in there together with the meat. So pork and chicken are a great mixture as well. So
And
yeah.
it has a wonderful chicken adobo recipe, which I know, so I have to show it off, you guys. It's just awesome. You have to get this to do that. It's really, really good. And so glad to have Betty Ann on talking to us about her book as well. I think this is excellent to be in. So one thing is that if you can believe, we are in September. We are in fall. So talk to me a little bit about using seasonal ingredients and things to make some beautiful fall recipes for your book.
Well, fall is definitely the season of winter squashes. So there are quite a few recipes in there that you can use the abundance of squashes in. Any of the curries would be amazing to use to use squashes in. My favorite squash is Bhide squash, as well as kabocha, which is a Japanese squash. So they're both very sweet, and I tend to go with sweet and savory flavors. So those are excellent. I put them into a yellow curry. And actually, I don't remember whether I put my Burmese curry in the Instant Pot cookbook, but actually a friend of mine, her family's from what is known today as Myanmar, but so she gave me a recipe for Burmese pork curry, which I added some squash to, and it's absolutely delicious. And I've done that in the Instant Pot as well, and it's amazing. Say again?
I said that's one of my favorite things to cook in the Instant Pot in the fall is to take the squash, and I usually do a lamb with
oh my gosh,
squash and coconut milk,
and
then use the spices that I like, and it's just, it's fabulous. It's rich, it's almost sensual. It's so you can make some rice on the side, but honestly, with that you just don't need anything else. It's like amazing.
And it's delicious as a vegetarian dish as well, or vegan. If you use coconut milk, you can make a vegan squash too. Just get an assortment of different types of squashes, and that's a meal in itself. And you can add other fall vegetables in there if you want. So they're absolutely delicious. You can put some lentils or other types of beans. So and you can make a vegetarian chili out of it.
Very easy. Now, what type of lentils do you like to cook in the Instant Pot? Like, do you have a favorite lentil dish?
So I usually cook the red lentils. I know, Monica, you probably know the Indian name for it. What is Masoor dal? Yeah.
My favorite. So rich and just
and I love the color. I have to. It's so much prettier.
It's orange and then it changes. They're like, "Weren't you cooking the orange lentils? What happened?" I'm like, "No."
That's the funny thing. So, but
how do you make your lentils in the Instant Pot? Like, tell us a little bit. Give us a little.
I don't want to talk about cooking lentils in the Instant Pot in front of you, Monica. So I just combine the lentils with, we can use stock if you want, water and all the different spices in there, and then I just turn it on. So I have to admit, the lentil recipe inside my cookbook it's not really traditionally Indian. I'm sorry, Monica. But so usually the lentil stew is finished off with what they call a tadka. Right? Is that correct? But I finished off my lentil stew with like caramelized onions. So that's how, I chose to add flavor to my lentils. So the basic lentil stew recipe is very simple, in the Instant Pot. And then I caramelize onions outside, on the stovetop, and then I top it. So
now, talk to me a little bit about, like, when you do your lentils and other grains, like even about rice. Do you tend to pre-soak them before you use them in the Instant Pot, or do you get that?
I do pre-soak them because it's just a habit, like with but you don't have to, because it's such a high pressure cooker that you don't have to pre-soak your vegetables, your legumes. And it's great because sometimes you realize that I only have, like, say, chickpeas in my pantry and I really want to cook it tonight, but I forgot to pre-soak soak it. And I have seen like quick soak recipes out there for the Instant Pot where you just, stick it in, you like soak your chickpeas in water in the Instant Pot and turn on the pressure for like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something.
Mhm.
And that's supposed to simulate the overnight soak. But what I did with my, I have a chickpea recipe in there as well. So what I did was that, I just put the dried chickpeas inside my Instant Pot and then I just cook it for a longer time. It takes about 55 minutes to cook chickpeas, which are not soaked. If they were soaked, it would be maybe about 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
So
I think
yeah, and of course the easiest thing to do is just go out and, if you have canned chickpeas or canned legumes, that's definitely, the fastest thing to do. But I kind of like the idea of using dried legumes. I mean, what do you do? How do you buy your beans and legumes, Monica?
most of the lentils I will get them dry, but the chickpeas I have to confess I get the canned chickpeas. It's
Yeah,
for the
it's easier.
cannelli beans also. I love doing like a cannelli bean soup.
Mm-hmm.
By the cans, it's much easier to use.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit, like, do you use your Instant Pot for like slow cooking at all, or do you just do the pressure?
No, I don't use my Instant Pot for slow cooking. So I did not include any slow cooking recipes inside this cookbook. It's all pressure cooking. So I just wanted to streamline my recipes, and that's what I use the Instant Pot for. I have a slow cooker, which I love. So if I wanted to slow cook anything, I would slow cook it in there. But for pressure cooking, I will use my Instant Pot. So.
You're just like me. So I decided, for the Instant Pot, I was doing all my pressure cooking recipes, and then one day I got this idea that, it says it has a slow cooker feature. Let me try. So I put in, I don't know, some lamb braise. It's supposed to be for 4 and 5 hours. Do you know how many times I opened that thing to check what was going on? Completely defeating the purpose. And I thought, okay, Monica, like slow cooking is just not for you right now. With this. Pressure cooking works just fine because I know it's done in 40 minutes. Ready.
Yeah.
And here every hour I'd be like, oh, it's still not cooked. It has 3 more hours to go close. Oh, it's still not cooked. It has. I was like, stop doing that. You're destroying the whole thing. It's like.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah.
Now, so we talked about some really good successes and dishes that you love. Do you want to talk about any Instant Pot disasters?
Oh my goodness.
Or have you not had any? I mean, my every other recipe is a disaster before.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure there were. Well, there were definitely disasters when I was developing the recipes. For the most part, most of the dishes are all, my favorite Asian dishes, as well as, traditional recipes that I just adapted for the Instant Pot. I'm trying to think if there was any recipe that I wanted to include, but it just didn't work. So, that's another thing. Not all recipes are suited for the Instant Pot. Don't expect, crispy, crunchy, burnished recipes in the Instant Pot. I mean, you can, cook your food in the Instant Pot first and then broil it. So I have a pork bulgogi recipe in the cookbook where, you cook it in the Instant Pot first so that all the flavors infuse into it and the meat becomes just oh so tender. But then you have a choice of whether you want to broil it so that it has like a crisp burnish touch to it, which I love. I love smoky flavors. So, but if you're lazy, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. So
I have a neighbor who does this, and I will leave it up to you guys to make your own decision. I am neither recommending it nor not recommending it. That's a disclaimer from Monica. Do this at your own risk. But she loves the smoky flavor too. So what she does in her Instant Pot, let's say she's making a biryani, right? Which is layering the chicken, with the rice and all of the spices and all of that and cooking it. Once it's done cooking and she lets out the flavor, and I've seen her do this, she'll get a small piece of charcoal that she's actually burned on the stove, put it in a cup, put the charcoal in the cup, put it inside the rice and cover it with foil for just a couple of minutes. And then when you take it off, the whole rice dish smells so smoky, like you've had it.
Wow.
It's a little trick. But you got to be careful what you're doing. You need to know, how to heat the charcoal and put it in. And,
wow.
Don't do it unsupervised. Just say.
Wow. Okay. I think I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself, but I have read recipes for tea smoking, and
Oh, really?
it's and it's kind of a similar concept where you kind of start the tea smoking. I don't know. And then you layer like tea in like aluminum foil in a pan, and then your food goes on top, so that all that smoke just infuses into the food. So I bet you could. I mean, that's something to try in the Instant Pot, like maybe.
Maybe.
So
I mean, it certainly sounds tempting. So
yeah.
definitely. Now, so look, we have another comment from Marcy. So she's talking about one of your.
Thanks, Marcy.
Wow, the state tastes like the street stalls in Thailand. That's high praise. Getting something to taste at home like it tastes in the street, on the streets in those stalls is.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that is such a high compliment, Marcy. Thank you so much.
How lovely. So one of the things that I actually have not done in my Instant Pot at all, and this is just because, I don't know, maybe it's a fear, so you can help me get over it. I have not made desserts in my Instant Pot. I'm good for savory cooking. I've done rice. I've made everything, lentils, stews, this, that, everything I will try. But I have not made desserts. And you mentioned to me when we were talking that you could do custards and flans and things. And I was like, wow, really? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, so at least in Southeast Asian cooking, a lot of our cakes and desserts are steamed. So for me, steaming a dessert is not out of the ordinary. And yeah, that's an amazing flan recipe. It's like so easy.
So good. And it's lunchtime. I'm like, can I just have this, please?
I'll be more than happy to make that for you, Monica.
So good. That's a close up of that. Keep talking. I just wanted to show the picture.
So yeah, for me, it was not anything out of the ordinary. And I actually, so one of my favorite desserts to make in the Instant Pot is actually mango and sticky rice. So the traditional way of making sticky rice with there's this distinction between like sticky rice and the Southeast Asian sticky rice is actually glutinous rice, and a lot of people think sticky rice is Japanese sushi rice, but when I talk about sticky rice, I'm referring to the Southeast Asian glutinous rice. So I used to make sticky rice either on the stovetop steamed over a pot or in the microwave, and then I discovered you can make it in the Instant Pot, and it's just so easy. And so the sticky rice is one thing I love to make in the Instant Pot. Pudding, like tapioca pudding, or rice pudding, either one of those are excellent. And the best thing is you don't have to like keep stirring. With rice pudding, just like with congee, Chinese chok. If you want it to turn out like really smooth and fine and silky, you have to stir it. I mean, the more you stir it, the better. So, and the longer you cook it, the better. There was this one restaurant in Singapore, I remember, they claimed that they cooked their congee for like 24 hours, and there's somebody who stands guard the whole day just stirring. But I mean, their congee was like so smooth, so fine, so silky. So, but with the Instant Pot, it turns out delicious. It's just so easy.
This is fantastic, because I will make this. When I was pregnant with my second son, I had a craving constantly for sticky rice, and the Thai restaurant knew if I called, they would have it ready for me to pick up.
Oh, so sweet.
Oh my God, she's back again. All I wanted to eat. So to know that I can make it at home and make it so easily is terrific. And I see my friend Nisha Vinod on. So hi, Nisha. Very nice to see you here. Nisha. They've just got an Instant Pot, and I think they're looking forward to trying it. And Pat, an extra copy. So Nisha, we will get this to you so you can use it and try it. That's absolutely terrific recipes. Now, Pat, tell me a little bit about, because I noticed that one of the things, I was going through the dessert section. Like I said, I've not tried desserts, but you have a Chinese New Year cake here as well. What's in the Instant Pot? You want to talk to me a little bit about that?
So it's usually made with glutinous rice flour and excuse me. So, and that's one cake that is usually steamed on the stovetop. So making it in the Instant Pot was like so easy. And for the recipe in my cookbook, I use mochiko flour instead, which is Japanese sweet rice flour, which is so much easier to find here in the US. So you can get it at like your local Safeway or Giant.
Okay, well, that's good.
So,
Yeah.
So all you do is just, you mix brown sugar together with the flour and water, and then you make a dough, and then you put it into a small pan, and then you steam it. And then after that, so the best part for me is actually dipping the pieces of the steamed cake in egg, and then you pan fry it. So the outside will be nice and crispy, and then the inside is soft and gooey. So
you know what I'm doing the rest of this. This is so fabulous. And one thing again, desserts. I'm stuck on desserts right now. So rice pudding. So in India, like the way I typically grew up with rice pudding, we do a lot of stovetop cooking with the rice pudding, like you talked about, we stir. I actually don't use sugar in my rice pudding. I use sweetened condensed milk, nice and thick. And then, of course, we add nuts and things. And I'm looking at your rice pudding recipe, which I had not seen before. It says chocolate rice pudding. I mean, talk about two things in one.
Okay, so I have to admit the chocolate rice pudding idea is not my idea. It actually comes from my friend's cookbook, Barvin Galputos, and the Adobo Road cookbook. I don't know, Amber, if you're there. I don't know if you have carried it in your store before or are able to purchase it, but it's a Filipino cookbook which came out, I don't know, quite a while ago, I think, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And and he had a chocolate rice pudding recipe in there, which I was like, oh my God, this is so delicious. And so he adds some coffee to it. And according to Marvin, you eat it with fried fish for breakfast. So
deep fried and something chocolatey. I mean, sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's similar to the idea of having bacon in your dessert, right? It's that sweet and savory combination. So
I'm doing like a lot of broiling bacon with maple sugar and stuff. It's the sweet and savory, right?
So yeah, I cannot claim to have invented chocolate rice pudding, but it's oh so delicious, really.
I'm gonna do that and then post my pictures. But
please do.
What are some of your, like, I hate it when people ask me this question, so please forgive me. Like, they always ask cookbook authors this question towards the end, and it's like, don't ask that. But what are your favorite recipes from your book?
Well, I've talked about quite a few of them already, like the red cooked pork dish, the steamed fish. Oh, I have a wonton recipe in there, which I absolutely love too. And the wontons are like poached in a broth inside the Instant Pot, and that turns out just so soft and silky as well, which I really love.
Really short for that, for the wonton?
Say again?
The cooking time, is it really short for?
Yeah, it has to be really short. It's like 0 minutes. So basically, there's no actual cooking time. It's just a time where the Instant Pot comes up to pressure and then goes down again. So that's yeah. So, but it's still cooking when the pressure is pressurizing and pressurizing down. So, and there's a garlic noodle recipe that's made with butter, soy sauce, oyster sauce, and did I put soy sauce in that? I might, and some brown sugar. And so it's based on a really famous garlic noodle dish that was made famous by a restaurant in California. I can't remember what Tan Long maybe. It was called like many years ago. Everybody was just talking about the secret recipe that because it's a family-owned business, and the recipe was proprietary, and nobody besides the family members knew how it was made. But all over the internet, people were trying to figure out how this was made. And so it's a Vietnamese dish, and actually the main ingredient is supposed to be Maggi seasoning. So I don't know, do you use Maggi seasoning in your cooking?
Always, yeah.
Yeah, so it's full of umami, and that's supposedly what makes the noodles taste so delicious. But what I love about this dish is that it's the combination of butter and soy sauce. So it's just unbelievable. But anyway, so that's it's one of my son's favorite dishes.
Oh, so,
yeah, we make that quite often. And I have to admit, so one of my favorite dishes is also butter chicken, but it's not in my cookbook because I figured it's like all over the internet. So why put it in my cookbook when anybody can find it, on the internet? But I know, Monica, it's also one of your favorite recipes. Even, I mean, you have a book like, named after it, Karma and the Art of Butter Chicken, right? So
Yeah. So it's a little obsession of mine. Here we go. It's a novel that came out about 4 years ago and suddenly picked up steam again. The fun thing about this book was, of course, I enjoyed writing it and everything, but last year, NPR's cafeteria actually had like a Monica Bhinde day, and they took the novel.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's amazing.
created, dishes from the novel. The lead character is a chef, and they said, well, if that chef came to life and cooked, what would he do? So all of NPR's cafeteria was filled with butter chicken and different things, and the fictional chef came to life, and it was fantastic. That, having said that, I do not have an Instant Pot butter chicken recipe.
But she does have a regular one.
I have a regular one. I was telling Pat this funny story before we started talking. We had an electrician over at the house the other day, and he was asking me what I do, and he saw all the books around, and then he saw, this book around, and he said, oh, butter chicken. He said, I am a private chef, and I used to cook for this company all the time, and they wanted me to do a butter chicken recipe. So I Googled it, and I found one on NPR, and I made that recipe, and I was like, that's fine! Oh my God!
What are the chances, right?
But that's wonderful, because food connects us so closely, especially in these intimate, these difficult times. It's such an intimate experience, and something so universal and so common in bringing us together. So while I do not have an Instant Pot butter chicken recipe, I do have a butter chicken recipe that you guys can.
No, but if you were to convert that into an Instant Pot recipe, I'm sure it'll be really easy. Maybe like leave the cream till the end, maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Leave the cream in the end. What I would do is, use butter and saute the tomatoes and all of that, and add your spices, add your chicken, make sure it's fully cooked. And then when you're completely done and just ready to serve, that's when the cream goes in. A little bit of time, because you have to have a lot of cream and butter. That's what life is about.
Yes. Decadence makes you happy.
Comfort food for the soul.
Yeah.
Now, what have I not asked you? I think I've gone through my list of tips and tricks and favorite recipes, but what is it?
Let's see. I wonder if anybody has any questions. Let's see.
I know Betty Ann's going on about mangoes. I know she loves
mangoes.
Now, do you do any kind of fruit cooking in your Instant Pot? I know some people do like to do braised fruits and things like that. I've not tried that. Have you done that?
No, I don't make jams very often, but when I do, I just do it on the stovetop. But what I have been wanting to try is, so like every Chinese New Year, when I was growing up in Singapore, we used to have pineapple tarts. Have you had those pineapple tarts? Well, they're basically just little, it's a short crust pastry with pineapple jam on top. And some of them look like a little tart, and some of them, the pastry is wrapped totally around the jam, so it looks like little balls. But I've been wanting to recreate that recipe, and I think that the Instant Pot would actually be a great place to cook the pineapple jam. So I think I will try that one of these days and see how that turns out. But I would think that the Instant Pot would be a great vessel to cook any type of fruit jelly or jam in. So
I think so too. And I'm actually getting text messages with questions, so I'm going to
good
the questions. This is from my son. So we've talked a lot about, he says, you've talked a lot about pork and chicken and all of that. What about vegetables in the Instant Pot? Imagine my children are asking about vegetables.
Oh, wow. Monica, you should be so proud of yourself. You raise vegetable eaters. Yeah. So, vegetables are a little tricky in the Instant Pot because they take such a short time to cook, just like with seafood. Yeah. So when I cook vegetables, I tend to just steam them lightly. I would do cook them at 0 minutes on low pressure. And I do have a table in my cookbook which details like what time, how long you should cook each vegetable for.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think you should definitely.
Yeah. So, but I think, if you follow the guidelines of, less is more with vegetables, it will definitely turn out fine. Okay, so here, I have a vegetable cooking table. Wait, there we go.
There we go. Yep.
I don't know if you can
Yep.
see it.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. So it details, for broccoli, if you have one medium broccoli cut into florets, you would do it at low pressure at 0 minutes. So green beans, 1 pound trimmed high at 0 minutes. So yeah, so this is just for cooking the vegetables themselves. But I do have a few vegetarian recipes in my cookbook. So there's a vegetable curry with tofu that I really love. And there's like a lentils. Oh, and there's a kimchi tofu stew that's not really vegetables, but it's vegetarian. So yeah.
And we have some wonderful questions coming in as well. Sandra says, I don't have an Instant Pot. Should I start with 6 quart or 8 quart? What would you recommend?
I would recommend a 6 quart unless you have a really large family. So because for various reasons, the 6 quart, most recipes tend to be made for the 6 quart Instant Pot, and you can always size up or size down, but it will take some tweaking. So if you use a 6 quart recipe, like all the recipes in my cookbook are for the 6. I tested them on a 6 quart because that's what I have. So I would say a 6 quart is probably your best bet.
Yeah, that's the one I have too. And
yeah, that's the most popular.
Angeli, who says, been watching through Eventbrite, so couldn't comment, but switched over to Facebook to say thank you and can't wait to pick up my copy of Pat's.
Oh, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that so much.
That's awesome. I'm sorry I pronounced your name. I'm like, this is the show with the authors with the difficult last name. You should have titled it, Let's Get the Ones Whose Names We Can't Pronounce. Okay. So I apologize about that. But yeah, no, I think the vegetables too. So the way I've been doing my Instant Pot cooking is usually I'll make the stews and the curries in the Instant Pot and even do the rice in the Instant Pot, and then the vegetables are on the stove. So
yeah,
I think I will switch that and try with the 0 pressure and see how it comes out. Because I mean, once it's cooked, then it's a quick saute with just some spices that we like, right?
Yeah, for sure. So
what's your typical if I had to say, Pat, I'm coming over on Sunday for lunch, what would be your Instant Pot Sunday meal that you would serve to your friends and family?
Oh, oxtails. So that's definitely a special occasion meal. It's like braised oxtails. It's one dish that my mom made for special occasions, which I love, and which she made on the stove in her pressure cooker. But it's one dish that I will never forget, and it brings back such happy memories. And it's great, and it's such a, I wouldn't say elaborate dish, but it's not like your everyday dish. So I like to make that dish for special occasions when friends and family come over to share a meal with us. So
yeah, that's like my butter chicken. That's whenever.
Yeah, we all have one of those dishes, don't we?
We always have one of those.
Yeah,
dishes that we love to do together. How wonderful! Now, have the rest of your family, cousins, friends, anybody tried to use the Instant Pot, and what is their reaction when they used it? Or
I'm trying to think. My mom has an Instant Pot. I think my sister bought her one, but she hasn't used it.
Not yet.
No, yeah. I think my sister and my brother-in-law have one. Actually, my brother-in-law tested a couple of recipes for me in his Instant Pot. They enjoy it. So, but yeah, yeah, my family, so okay, my family all live in Seattle, so they all live close to one another, and my mom has always been, the matriarch, and when she cooks, she cooks. So my brother and my sister are very lucky because they get food from her all the time. So yeah.
Oh, this is awesome. No, it's been so wonderful talking to you, and just getting to know more about the wonderful, fantastic recipes in your lovely book. I highly, highly recommend folks go and get it and start with the desserts. To all of the different braises and stews she has, and then try steaming the fish, which is, again, incredible. So, thank you, Pat, for coming on board. No, we're at the end of our time, but if there's anything else you want to say.
Oh, no, I just want to say thank you to Monica for being here with me. This was such a fun conversation to have. And to One More Page Books, definitely for hosting us. And please, if you do want to buy a copy of my or Monica's or Betty Ann's books, please, consider purchasing it through One More Page Books, or if you don't live in the DC area, your local bookstores. They could really do with our support right now. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you all for watching. I'm so happy you spent the last hour with us, and you can find us on social media. I'm at pickles.and.t on Instagram, as well as on Facebook. You can just look me up. And Monica, you're on social media as well, right?
Yeah, the same. It's just Monica Bhinde everywhere. Just look for my name and I will show up.
Yeah, and we're happy to answer questions, via social media as well. So
great. Terrific. Hope you guys get the books and enjoy them very much and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And stay safe.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.